Good evening, everyone. My name is Carla, and you have reached my FlossTube channel, Carla Being Crafty, where I talk about mostly cross stitch, but also other crafts that I work on, a little bit of life. I normally do a Sunday regular FlossTube video, but today is an extra video, one of my demo videos, and I am going to kind of go over with you how I kit up a HAED. Or a Heaven and Earth Design full coverage project. I typically only do quick stitch HAEDs. I have two on the go right now. I have one regular full size HAED on the go as well. And I'm going to be kitting up with you another quick stitch that I'm going to be doing in May for my mania, which is going to be a cat mania, and I'm going to be doing this this pattern. It's a quick stitch called Kitty Magic by Katerina Koukiotis. So this actually is smaller amount of colors than a typical HAED because it's sort of monochromatic. Not totally. There's green eyes in there, so we do have several greens, but there's only 51 colors in this pattern, and normal HAEDs are about 90, whether you do quick stitch, full size, whatever. But the techniques I'm going to show you I would use for any HAED, really any larger full coverage or even just regular larger pattern as far as how I organize my flosses and everything. But I know if you have never done a HAED before, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming when you first get that pattern, and so I thought it might be fun to go over my method. I might be doing this in several segments, so I might have sort of outfit changes during the course of the video. I don't know yet. I guess it's going to depend on how it looks as we go along. And since the actual doing of the project, I can explain what I'm going to do, and then actually doing it is kind of going to be time consuming, so obviously I'm not going to sit here and go over every tiny little thing or keep the camera on while I cut all the flosses and everything. But I'm just going to tell you like kind of my methods, my overview, and then I'll definitely go on at the end and show you everything after it's all kitted up. So basically, when you're talking about a Heaven and Earth Designs project, or any project really, there's, you know, the four basic things. There's the pattern, the fabric, and the floss. I guess that's only three things. So first thing is the pattern. When you order Heaven and Earth Design, you can order a hard copy or you can order PDF. I at first was ordering hard copies because I thought that they would be different quality than what I could print out. The reality is they're just printing out the copy for you and mailing it to you. So you can do it either way. I think the PDF is like $1 cheaper, something like that. But I started just ordering the PDFs myself and printing them out myself. The other thing is you can do regular format, large format. I know a lot of people are using Pattern Keeper now, which is an Android app. And I do not use Pattern Keeper. I don't have any plans at this time to use it. I know people say it's a game changer. I'm really happy using the paper patterns. I like crossing off the rows as I do them. I do stitch on the diagonal, and I do 10 stitches at a time in a diagonal row, which you can see I do have a video of my stitching method that hasn't changed since I've done that video, so you can go check that out if you're interested. I like using paper pattern with it. So if I ever change to Pattern Keeper or something, then I'll do an updated video, but for now this is how I use the pattern. So because I do like the paper pattern, I like to get the large format chart. You get more pages, but they're easier to see, and so that is, if you're going to use paper, that's my recommendation. As I said, I do the PDF, I print it out myself, and I always different, okay, so a couple things. So you have your regular, you know, pattern pages like that. That's no different than any other pattern you're ever going to see. But there's two things that come with a heaven and earth, or two, there's a couple different things that get included that you're going to want to take note of. First, you get a chart that has your symbols, the DMC number, and then the color name, which was, it's helpful if you're trying to make sure you have the right color. You get your chart instructions, and that's how you lay out your chart pages. And then there is a usage summary like this, which has the floss number, the number of stitches that's in the pattern for that number, and then all the way over on the side, the skein estimate. They do pretty much everything on a 25 count. So if you are using a larger fabric, then you know you kind of need to take that into consideration, that you might need a little bit more. If you're using a smaller count, then you might need a little less. I'm doing this on a 20 count, so, but I'm not super worried about running out because I think they're pretty generous with what they say. So the first thing, obviously, when you're gonna go kit up a chart like this, is you need to get your flosses. So the easiest thing to do is just have Heaven and Earth Design kitted up for you. You can definitely do that. It takes a while to get it. I've never done that. I do believe it takes a month or so to get it. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. You could go on the website and check it out. But I've seen other people who have bought them and they're already on floss cards and they're all labeled and they're, you know, it looks really nice the way that they do it. But for me, I think it's a little bit expensive. I do have access to DMC. I know if you're ordering from, you know, another country, not everybody has easy access to DMC, or DMC can be really expensive in other countries. So if that's the case, then definitely have Heaven and Earth Design kitted up for you. If you are here in the US and have access to 123 Stitch, which is what I usually use, then, you know, for me, kitting it up myself is a little bit more economical and just makes a little bit more sense. So, I have a healthy stash of DMC. So the first thing that I did when I went to go kit up my chart, and you can see I highlighted here, I went through and I looked at my stash, and all the yellow ones are ones that I already had. And I did, so that's the first step, okay, the ones that I already have. So I know I need to order the other ones. The second step in that process is to look at the skein usage chart, or the what do they call it? Usage summary. And I went over on the side here, and any color that is more than one skein, I took note of that. And then noted that on here. So if there was something that needed more than one skein, I wrote it on here in pencil, so that then I could see as I was going through, there were a couple that even though I had the color, I had one skein, like here, this 3072. I had one skein. I had one skein of 3072 in my stash, but I noted that I needed 3 skeins. So I would rather order 3 than get 2 and use one in my stash, just in case there's some color variation with dye lots and stuff. I also took note of the stitch count for each color, especially with this chart, because like with the greens, I was pretty sure that the greens aren't going to be that many stitches for each color. So even if I didn't have a full skein, but I had it, I was okay with that if the stitch count was fairly small. So I took note of all that. Then I had my list. So all the ones that were not highlighted, I needed. And then the ones that were highlighted but had a mark of multiple skeins, I also decided that I would order those. So I went on to 123 Stitch and I made an order of all of these flosses. And when I made that order, there was only one color that they didn't have, and I put in a notice on 123 Stitch for them to email me when that came in. It came in within like 2 weeks, and then I put in another order. I just added that onto a small order that I did. So that was how I ordered my floss. So then I got a big old bag of floss, and I just went through, and again, using these same pages, I took the new floss that I just ordered and I put them kind of in numerical order on my table here. I just divided them by like the 300s and the 400s and the 500s. And then I went through and I went down my list, and when I got to the yellow ones, I went to my stash and I pulled those out. And those are the ones that are in this bag that are in like floss card bags. And so then I pulled all my flosses. So where's my card neck? Should I put it in here? Yes, the card neck's in here too. So these are all my flosses. So that was step one, getting the flosses. So once the flosses have been procured, then it's time to move on to actually kitting up the flosses and organizing your flosses. So I've tried several methods of kitting up flosses in the 2 years that I've been stitching. The first HAED that I kitted up, I kept everything in like flossaway bags and put them on rings, and and that was the first thing I did, and it was a great method, I thought, until I realized that it was just really not fun to have to go through a whole big wad of these bags all hooked together to find the colors that I needed. So that is not a method I will use again. When I get that project finished, all those flossaway bags will go into my my stash. And yeah, the other thing I don't like about that method is, for me, a lot of times with projects, I don't put the whole skein into the project. Because for the most part, you don't need the whole skein. So I will just pull a couple lengths off and put the rest in my stash. I haven't had a situation yet where I've run out of something and I go back to stash and it's not there. So, that may happen in the future, and I may curse myself for not putting the whole skein in there. But for the most part, I don't think that that's necessary. Now with this HAED, because there are multiples and because it is only 51 colors for the full HAED, the multiples that I have, I'm going to keep in this bag and keep with the project. And even the ones that are on floss cards, I'm going to keep the card in here while this project is going. And then I'll put it away when the project's done, which will be, what, a year or so down the road. Okay, so the next step that I do, so anyway, as I was saying, I don't hook the bags together anymore. I use floss cards. The first time I used a floss card like this, I used both sides of the card, which is an okay thing to do. But again, going through it, I hooked it, at the top, and then I flipped them. But I found that I didn't like it because the flosses obviously don't, hang. They're coming off this way and then gravity, and it's not as easy to deal with, and it's not as easy to find find the flosses when they're on both sides. So what I have settled on doing, and granted it means you need more of the floss cards, but I only use one side of the thing to hang my flosses from, and then I use these little wire cable ties things, and I got the tiny ones to hold it together. And then when I need to, you know, find my flosses, it's very easy to flip through these things. So that is my new system. Okay, so that's that step. You can get these floss card things, they're plastic. They come in multiple colors, multiple amounts in a package. And there's different ones. I've had ones that had like octagons here, and then I've had ones that have the teardrops, which are actually my favorite. But I got these for this time because I knew I was doing a couple big projects and I would need a lot. And this pack, it was like 18 for, I want to say like $9. So they were less expensive than the other ones, and I just decided to go ahead and get these. There's nothing wrong with them, and there's nothing better about the teardrop shaped ones. It's just a matter of preference, and you know, it's an aesthetic thing, I think. But these are perfectly fine. They work really well. Okay. So the next thing obviously is to hang your flosses from the card. What I do, so there's two things you can do. You can just make an extra copy of this page that has the symbol and the number, and actually if you do that, what I suggest is to kind of make an extra copy, fold that up, and then make another copy. Because really, the information that you need, at least as far as I'm concerned, the information that I need for my floss cards is I want the symbol and the number. The symbol because that's what you're going to use when you stitch. The number because if you run out of the color, you need to know what color to replace it with or what color to add. So you can do this and just do it on a plain piece of paper that you're going to cut. Or if you want to get slightly fancy, you can go ahead and make the copy onto sticker paper. You can get full sheets. I didn't have those when I was doing it, so I just used a page of labels, and I thought if it got cut on one, then I could handwrite it, but actually it ended up printing so that the separation of the labels is right between my symbols. So what I'm gonna do, now these are the colors, and obviously when I copied it, I didn't copy it in color, I copied it in black and white, but it doesn't matter because I don't need these anyway. What I need is just this little section right there. And what I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna explain it to you first, and then I'll do another segment after and show you how it worked. I'm just gonna cut these out and stick them above here. Now this is sticker paper, so it will stick, but I'm acknowledging the fact that this is a project that's gonna be going for a year, 2 years, however long, and friction will rub the toner off of these stickers. So in addition to sticking them onto here, I'm going to use these little round stickers that I got. They're little like mailing label circles. Again, you can get these on Amazon, very inexpensive. I don't know if you can even see that, but there's a little round sticker. and I use those. You could use tape as well, but I like these because I don't have to futz with them. I just pull them off and stick them on. Now you can see it better because I got my fingerprints all over it. And I use those, and I use 2 on each label, and put these on top of the symbol label to protect them. Then it's just a matter of cutting my floss. As I said, with this one, I'm gonna probably use full skeins or close to full skeins, unless it's only a few stitches. If it's only a few stitches, then I'll cut 1 or 2. The way I do my cutting, I use the loop start method when I'm using 2 strands. So I tend to like to take a floss length that's, you know, I pull the floss up to my shoulder. That's a good length for me. When it's doubled in half, it's a perfect length to not get too knotted. So that's the length that I use. And then I'll cut all my flosses and then hang them from the floss cards in their corresponding spot. The Krynic, I put in a flossaway bag and just attach it to the ring because I'm not going to cut the Krynic ahead of time. So yeah, that's what I do. And as I said, when I go ahead and kit this up this week, I will come back after it's done and show you guys. So that is the pattern, the fabric, and the floss. The one thing about the pattern, again, because I stitch on the diagonal, I will take my patterns and make a line, and I don't have it done on that, but let me show you on. Oops, not a good example. You can see this is one of my other HAEDs, but I take my ruler and I make a line on the diagonal there on the pattern, just to give me a visual of where my diagonals are. And then the other tip about kitting up as far as fabric is I use braided fabric. As I said, I'm using a 20 count Aida for this project. I started using this piece, oh, I cut it off. I got this piece for the Village Bookstore, the large Heaven and Earth design. And I started on that, and I didn't like the coverage with this fabric for that project because I was doing 10th stitch. I also found that the 20 count gridded fabric is a little bit harder to work with than even the 25. The 18 and the 25 are printed really well on, but for some reason the 20 count, it almost is like it's between the lines. It doesn't really matter now because I'm more used to doing the stitching, so I don't think I'm going to have a problem with this fabric. And I had this big piece, so I just decided to go ahead and use this 20 count. But I still like the grid lines, and I just want them as a guide because of the way I do parking. If you don't do parking, don't care, you know, grid lines are really a personal preference. I would not do a full coverage without grid lines. And if I was not using gridded fabric, if I wanted a colored fabric, because on one of my quick stitches, I'm not stitching the background, so I have a really pretty fabric that I'm using, and that is showing for the background. I gridded it myself using fishing line, so it's kind of, it's a pain to do that, and you need to make sure that you get your counts right on it so you don't screw yourself up. But for me, it is totally worth the time and effort to do the gridding. because I really think that gridding is a good guide when you're doing parking. So I think that that's it for now. As I said, I'm going to go ahead and do this, kit stuff up, and you know, come back with my floss cards all done and pretty so you can see how I set it up, and then I'll show you. It's actually, as I said, when you first get that first Heaven and Earth Designs pattern, if you're not used to something with that many colors, it can be completely like overwhelming. But when it comes right down to it, it's just the same as kitting up any other project. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of organization, and then it's pretty easy. So I do like the method of using the floss cards and putting the labels on here. Having the symbol on your color is going to save you so much time. As I said, my first one, I didn't do that, and I have to have the chart to find the color versus the symbol, and you know, and it's just, that's an extra step that you don't need. So now when I'm stitching and you have the floss cards and the symbols, you just, you know, you look on your card and you go through them to find the symbol of the color that you need when you need a new thread. Okay, so that is it for now, and I will go ahead and do my kitting up, and then I will come back onto this video on a different day, I'm sure, because it's about 7 o'clock at night right now, and I haven't had dinner, and I'm hungry, so I'm not going to do all the kitting up tonight. But when I get this all finished, I'll come back and I'll show you the fully kitted up project. So thank you for sticking with me so far, and I will see you in a minute. Okay, I am a week or so after the first part of this video that I filmed. Today is April 18th, excuse me. And I wanted to come back and show you the flosses now that I have kitted them up and put them all on the cards. This project of kitting this up basically took me a whole evening to do. I mean, I was watching TV and whatever, but I didn't even stitch that night because it took me quite a while to cut all the flosses and card them up. So as you can see, I had my labels that were, I had them on sticky paper. I happened to print them on sticky paper, which I believe I showed the first part of this video. And so I stuck them on here, and then I just put little clear stickers over them, little clear circle stickers. I don't know if you can see that from with the glare or whatever, but there's 2 circle stickers over each of these labels, which I put because since I did this on the printer at work, the color will rub off, or the label will rub off with use, and this is going to be a long-term project, so I put those to protect it. This one at the top is the label for this Rainbow Gallery. I decided to use the Rainbow Gallery on this project instead of Krynic. I have a couple different, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. If I did, I'm sorry. I didn't go back and watch the first part yet. And I know I've said this, but I don't know if I said it in the first part of this video or if I said it in a regular FlossTube video. But I have a couple other Heaven and Earth design projects, and one of them I'm using the regular Krynic that's called for. And the second one I tried to use, I'm using the DMC, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the DMC that has a similar look, but I don't like working with it. And I haven't tried Rainbow Gallery yet, so I decided to try Rainbow Gallery on this one. So that is just hooked on there, and that's the symbol for that. This particular pattern, because it is sort of monochromatic, you know, sort of black and white, but has those green eyes. When I get into those eyes, it's going to be super confetti heavy because there's a lot of greens in here, as you can see, but a lot of them are like 25 stitches or under. Several of them are 1 or 3 stitches. So for those, I only pulled like 1 strand of the color because there's no point in doing a lot. If there was something where it called for multiple skeins, then I cut up the whole skein. This one I actually think I cut up more than one skein. And then for ones where it was just a few stitches, like this one, I didn't even cut a full length. I think there's one stitch that's called for. So I just cut a big length piece to be able to thread it, do the one stitch, and then pin stitch it off. But that's what it looks like using this method. I'm keeping the extra flosses in the kit, so for multiple skeins that have multiple colors. Everything else, I think, actually I did cut up the whole skein, unless it was a very small amount. But I still kept the skein in here just in case, so I don't have to go hunting for it. But yeah, so that's what it looks like doing it on the floss cards like this. And I find this method really easy to work with. I like having my symbols right attached to the colors. It cuts out a step of having to look on the symbol page or the key. Of course, I keep that for future reference, but I don't like to have to use it while I'm stitching. And yeah, this method works really well for me. And I think that's about it. So I will be starting this project in May of 2021 as part of my cat mania. And I'm excited to start it. I'm really interested to see this particular pattern grow with this sort of black and white, you know, monochromatic. It's pretty interesting to me that, you know, this has 51 colors in it. You know, you think black and white, you think black and white, but there's so many shades of gray, and then in those little eyes, there's got to be, you know, 20 colors in there of green. So that section is probably going to take a while to do because it's going to be super confetti heavy, but there's just so many pretty grays in here. I think it's going to be actually a really pretty project to work on, so I'm excited about that. I hope that this video has helped you guys figure out how to, like, you know, at least one method of kitting up a HAED and doing the flosses for it. And if you have any questions, of course, please give me a message on this this video. I try to answer every message that I get on any of my videos, and I'd be happy to, you know, help you out or give you any insights that I have. So please don't hesitate to ask questions. If you want to see my method of stitching on the diagonal using parking and that kind of thing, I do have another video out that shows that. And then I have another one that shows the loop start, and I have another one that shows the pin stitch. So those are all the little tricks that I use when stitching on pretty much everything, but especially on a full coverage type piece. So I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you soon in my next video. And until I see you again, please remember to be content, be kind, and be crafty. This is Carla. Thanks for watching.